morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks. Are you serious? Should be joined here in a few minutes by my co-host, the Mad New Yorker. Hopefully everybody's hearing me loud and clear this morning. And we do not get too many disruptions as far as internet connections. Anyway, how's everybody doing on this beautiful Friday as we start a long Labor Day weekend? Hopefully you do have it off, and hopefully it's nice where you are. Beautiful weather here. I tell you what, like fall weather. It's gorgeous here. It's about 46 degrees here this morning. I love it. My wife is a little upset. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff this morning. We'll get into the actually pretty specific stuff. We're going to get into our NFL 2023 predictions. We'll go division by division, pick our winners, pick some surprises in each league, some disappointments we expect along the way, and we'll pick on some certain players, or pick out some certain players. Maybe pick on is a better term. Maybe we'll give you our best bets. One of my best bets actually played last night and won handily, Utah defeating Florida. So we're 1-0 in a cigar box. We're very happy. Want to thank the guys at LTS and the sports show, and Nick Botkin and the crew was on last night doing the AFC preview show. Had a lot of fun with that. And we'll be on Sunday, as you know, with the Stream of Consciousness. We'll talk all of college football tomorrow, man. There's wall-to-wall college football, guys, from last night right through Monday night. Great games. What else? Catch us later on today with the Major League Baseball preview. Lots to chat about. Some interesting waiver moves across the league. And a quick shout out. I had a conversation yesterday with Dan Harris from Let's Talk Sports, and we do welcome everybody, by the way, on Northeast Streaming Sports, Let's Talk Sports, obviously our own TGI Sports Talk page. Had a conversation with Dan yesterday, and you know, quite frankly, and I asked Dan if he was okay to share, but Dan's struggling quite a bit, and Dan could really use some positive energy, some positive thoughts come his way. Please do so. He's a wonderful guy. Give you the shirt off his back. This is a man with very strong character, and he's fought very valiantly, and he really needs your help right now. So please do that. Good man. One of my favorite people that I've met in the 3.5 years I've been doing this. Good morning, Dave Guyette. Great to have you with us. Not really happy with the Yankees. Boring baseball. That's news for you, Dave. CA, good morning. Good to have you with us. Today will be NFL football. Just remember, that's all. And we bring in the Mad New Yorker, just getting out of the shower or something there. Looks like he shut the shower curtain.
Nah, it's my air conditioner, man.
Oh, good morning, Carlos. How you doing today?
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody.
Oh, it's a beautiful day. I hope it's nice in the city, man. We got such a refreshing morning here. I love these nice, crisp fall. Well, it's not fall yet, but it feels like it.
Yeah, it's getting there, right? We're close. It is nice in the city. You can actually walk outside and not feel like somebody's trying to mug you with humidity. So
awesome. We're having a great time here. So anyway, long weekend, 4-day weekend. We like those. What else is going on? You know, we're going to get into, there's some interesting, we're going to get into the divisional picks and our conference winners and Super Bowl champions, all that fun stuff. It was a very interesting cut down to 53. I mean, there was a lot of big names that were released. I didn't even know Khalid Davis had been released, and he was re-signed by the Texans, I think. That was a big release that I had missed. A lot of teams get these cut downs, get to be a big deal. Guys get released, they get re-signed anyway. Right. Patriots did that. Cut all their quarterbacks except Mac Jones, and then they re-signed them anyway. Almost probably 50% of the guys they cut the last day they brought back for the practice squad.
Yeah, what I dislike about it is like they make such a big hoo-ha about the cuts, and at the end of the day, it's like they can't have second string players on third or fourth teams because of the contracts that they have to pay them. or the contracts that the players require, right?
Well, you can also have only 53 guys. So
yeah. I think that's a smaller issue because a lot of these guys who are, close to being on the second string, closer to being on the second string, they end up being on practice squads, and I won't say most of them, but a lot of them end up playing because they go from a practice squad to back up to the lineup due to injuries or what have you. So, I mean, I think the NFL does a great job on selling the season all year round, and this is one of the things that they do. So those big names that you see, those teams don't want to give them bigger contracts, and and they do get cut because it's not that they don't have the talent or they don't, they're not good players. It's just that, like you said, there's only so many players you can have on a team, and
right.
I feel like that's probably one of the toughest spots for coaches and managers, general managers, because they want depth. They just can't pay for it because they're already, invested in other players. So
Alex, not a fan of the big cut down day. I will tell you this too. It's very obvious if you pay close enough attention that the teams have agreements with a lot of these guys that they cut that
right.
will be bringing you back in 24 hours when you clear waivers. The talk is specifically, we'll talk about the Patriots for a second. They released Bailey Zappi and Malik Cunningham, both their second and theoretically their third string quarterbacks. They did sign Matt Corral yesterday. But there's no way they didn't have an agreement with Bailey Zappi because he turned down 7 offers and to return to the Patriots practice squad. So that they've got something here.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is game. Some of these guys are definitely getting cut, but we'll see how that goes. Right. And Dave, one last thing. Dave wants to talk about, we're not going to get into this on this show. Dave, tune in at 3:00 though, because we'll talk a lot about this. They're going to stay in last place, Dave, so we might as well get used to it the rest of this year. But the good news is we're bringing up a bunch of kids, and we'll get into that on 3:00. Because listen, for the only way for September to be interesting is I want to see the Martian play almost every day. That's what I want to see. So anyway, Carlos, let's dive into this because we only got 50 minutes to kind of get through the league. We'll start in the AFC East.
Nice. And I say that because I just caught up with the NFL Hard Knocks. So,
oh, you did it good. It was. It's been an interesting. They showed more. The Jets said they weren't going to show a lot of or let a lot of be seen. I think they've shown a lot.
I'm excited inside, but I'm not excited outside.
Well, you know what? Look, it's reality TV, and as soon as the camera goes on, reality stops. There's no doubt in my mind. I've seen the best face of Aaron Rodgers for the last month. One more show to go.
They put him on a nice light, right? They gave him a nice light.
They did. Well, he did a good job of showing himself in a nice light. And you started to see the fire this last week, though, a little bit too, right? As he got into it with his own, getting in his own team's face during practice when they had a bad series. And look at, for people, listen, I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but I want to see that from my quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody's going to get on Aaron Jones for getting on his teammates when they don't play well, including himself. He doesn't leave himself out necessarily.
Yeah, no, you saw the competitive edge come out on film, and Keith, how many QBs are allowed today to do what Aaron Rodgers did just in practice? Like, say screw this, I'm going to throw to this guy. I'm going to tell wide receivers what to run, how to run it, and where to be. Like, how many quarterbacks do you think take?
Very few, but you're in the right? Tom Brady earned that right. Aaron Rodgers earned that right.
And he's in a good situation, and I'm trying not to get excited, Keith. I'm trying not to get excited.
Well, I'm going to get you more excited. We're going to start in the AFC.
But I'm just going to finish it off with he's in a good situation because the offense is young, and they're looking up to him, not because he's just like one of the best quarterbacks ever played in their era, right? Because, they're young, but they're starting to understand what it's like to have a real quarterback behind the center. And I'm going to finish it right there.
And that's a real good thing. And it's also what could beat them if these guys don't take Aaron Rodgers getting in their face correctly. If they start to pout, it becomes a train wreck. And that's where there's going to be a very fine line. They should listen because this guy, I have never been he's a great quarterback. I don't know that I like all the stuff that comes with him, but I'm on record as saying this is a great gamble for the Jets for these 2 years or however long it lasts. And I will tell you that I believe And again, this is a tough division. I do think any one of these teams could finish last. Anyone could finish first. I'll give you my predictions. I think the Jets win. The Jets win the division. The only way they don't win the division is if they're the San Diego Padres of the NFL. And they don't mesh. Chemistry becomes an issue. Rodgers' attitude becomes an issue. If he continues to be just, constructive criticism of guys and getting in guys' face to get them back on track, that's a good thing. If it becomes more than that, or the team doesn't accept that constructive criticism, this could be and I'm rooting for a train wreck. Believe me, I'm not a Jet fan. So, but I think the Jets win this division. I've got the Patriots second and making a wild card, by the way, which we'll talk about. And I have Buffalo slipping back to third and probably out of the playoffs, and the Miami Dolphins, one of the big disappointments this year because Tua won't stay healthy. And their their coach, it still wants to throw the ball on every freaking down instead of running the football. What are your thoughts on the East?
So I like the addition of Aaron Rodgers. I will say that the team is young. Their offense is young. Their defense is young. They're okay, semi-balanced. The only problem I see with the Jets is who's going to protect Aaron Rodgers. How long can he stay on his feet? And how long can he stay on the field? I have the Dolphins coming in at number 1. They have better balance on offense, defense. The only question, which you alluded to, was I think is Daniels. Can McDaniels stay cool? The guys are playing for him. He stopped that game when that wide receiver went out. I thought that was a good call, but he stood up and made had a defining moment and said, "Listen, the players, they're not going to play after this." And I'm glad he did that. Hopefully the wide receiver comes back and he stays, gets healthy and stays with it because he's a rookie. So to Alex's point here, New England won't win a game till game 5. I do not think that will happen. They do have a tough, very tough schedule. So I have September. I've got the team. I've got them 2-4. I'm sorry, 2-2 after those games. I have them beating the Dolphins and the Cowboys that lose to the Jets and the Eagles in week 1. So, hey, it's a tough schedule. You got to go out and win. I have the team winning 10 games and making the playoffs. I agree with you. I think Buffalo will slip to 3, but I think they'll get the wild card. Yeah. So I think the 2. Who you got second? I got the Jets coming in second because I don't think that I think they'll win that toss-up game. So you got Miami winning. I got Miami winning first. I got the Jets coming in second, and I have Buffalo at third. I need to get money with everybody who's picking the Patriots last. And I don't believe that Bill Belichick, as much as he's a great coach, I've said this on the show since we started talking to me. He's a great coach. He deserves every accolade, but he deserves to be in management or move on from the game, one or the other. Like, he doesn't need to be on the field with the headphone set. He doesn't help anybody. He's not helping himself with, so, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to that. I have the luster is off Bill Belichick a little bit for me, but I will not go so far to say that he should be on the sideline with a headset. He's there. He's not calling plays. His decision-making last year left a lot to be desired, but he did a good job of rectifying it in my mind. And by the way, all you guys who, when you see the camera on Stevie Belichick and think he's out there calling all the defensive plays and he's the defensive coordinator without the title, you're wrong. That's Gerard Mayo. Remember that. Every time you see Stevie Belichick, think of Gerard Mayo. No, I mean, I think because he's a head coach, he's a face of the franchise. The fact that it's almost proven that he can't win without a quarterback. I mean, he's not looking good at the tail end of the Brady needs Belichick and Belichick needs Brady comparison. Yeah. So I think Buffalo, and I know Kenny's got Buffalo winning here. Not surprised he's got the Jets last because he's a Green Bay fan and not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers, which might play into his decision making here. This could be. Listen, I picked the Jets to win the division. I want the Jets to be a train wreck and finish last. I think that's better for me, for what I do here, and it's good for the newspapers. It's good for everything. Better than the Jets winning is the Jets crashing. Yeah, except for Jet fans. As a Jet fan, I'm excited again, but I have to be realistic, and that O-line is the O-line in the running game right now are questionable to me. So
Well, and Buffalo, well, the O-line again. I said the only thing could beat the Jets is themselves. The O-line needs to protect the quarterback, obviously, and they need to be able to run the football. Brees Hall needs to get healthier as the season goes on. He had surgery in the offseason on his knee, or during the season last year, actually. But he looked good in training camp. But it's when you start playing real games that you'll see. But they've got a pretty good insurance plan in Dalvin Cook. So
just keep the ball to Dalvin Cook, man. Don't mess around with Brees Hall. Just give him time to recuperate.
And the Stefon Diggs things could blow up in their face too. And by the way, Stefon Diggs isn't wrong. He's wrong for voicing it the way he did. But this team's window is closing. Buffalo's team's window is closing.
Keith, I've been on the show saying that Buffalo has been, frauds since the beginning, and I don't think that the window's closing. I think the window is just what it is. It's a window pane. People just see light come through it, and they think that things are going to happen. But that coaching staff is erratic. Now that they lost one of their best coaches in defense, they still don't have a consistent running game. They have a quarterback. This reminds me of the Denver Broncos of the late 80s, early 90s. Like, until they find that one piece in the running back and have that consistent coaching staff that has that grit and willing to go for it all, they're not going to go anywhere. Very
interesting. CA's comment here, 2 shades of green on the Super Bowl. We'll see when we get to my Super Bowl pick. We could be on the same page. I don't know. We'll see. Alex Simpson says it's going to be interesting if the Jets start 0-2, how they handle it. Listen, it will get ugly here if this team starts 0-2 or 1-4. That's when the wheels could come off.
Yeah, and that's the thing that like I talked about, and I've been I always hark on. It's like, why do we have to wait till week 5 and 6 to see these teams step it up? I mean, the continuity should be there from the start, but
we aren't going to get into it today. But we know why, because you don't hit in training camp. You can wear pads for 10 days, please. That's why you want to continue to see bad football in September. Continue to advocate for not doing anything in August.
I'm hoping, and I can't wait for the NFL to be good football, like from September to the end. And hopefully this season is it, right? Because the AFC is stacked. The NFC is,
doesn't mean they'll play well though. Early in the season,
you got to put these guys in the, you got to put them in the, in the grinder, man. You got to put them through the grinder. So, all right, let's move on.
Let's move on to the North, which a lot of people think is the best division of football. I don't, because I'm not a believer in the Browns. I am a believer in Kenny Pickett. I think the Steelers sneak in and win this division with the Bengals finishing second. They will get a wild card.
Interesting you said that, because you weren't too big on Kenny Pickett when he came in last season.
No, but I like the way he progressed last year, the way he handled getting benched and learned. And I think the kid's bright. He's got a lot of talent, and I brought some more talent in around him. I think I like the wide receiver they drafted, and I just think this is going to be a much better team. And I'm not a fan of the Ravens. The Ravens, there's always something seems to be wrong with, right. And they rely too much on Lamar Jackson to do too much. If they can't run the football, they're not going to win.
Question: does Najee Harris get 1,200 yards this year plus?
Healthy, yes, and that's a key for the Steelers to win this division. They can't have Pickett throwing the ball 50 times a game. They've got to run the football, get back to Steeler type football, and I think you may see that. And again, I know he gets a lot of grief. And listen, I think their head coach Mike Tomlin is one of the best in football. I mean, he's one place you don't have to worry about your job for having a little bit of a downturn is Pittsburgh. They've had 3 coaches in 70 years. Well, not 70 years, 52 years. So.
Does TJ Watt stay healthy and help this defense become top?
That's a key. I mean, he can't turn into his brother and play 4 games a year. He could be the defensive player in the year in the AFC or in football if he stays healthy. So I like this team a lot.
So you're ranking the Pittsburgh Steelers higher than the Ravens, but the Ravens defense looks a little bit more stouter than the Pittsburgh defense.
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm not a fan of the offense. I mean, Lamar Jackson is still the offense, and I think I need more out of them. The Bengals have still got more talent offensively than either one of these teams, but the offensive line, they've still done nothing to improve it. Burrows is going to get himself killed back there eventually. They're going to shorten his career if they don't fix this problem.
Yeah, and I have the Ravens, the Bengals, and then Pittsburgh, and then the Browns down in the bottom.
Just to back up, second, Dave Gadd says this will be the Bills season. It better be, Dave, because as we said, the window's closing quickly, and
it'll be the season they find out they got to get a new coach. That's what
Josh Allen will have a new coach if they don't do it this year, and he'll probably have a bunch of new people surrounding him as well.
Not for nothing, and as much as I dislike Buffalo, I just feel bad for their fan base because they so a huge fan base, so supportive, and they just can't get it together as far as like on the field to get that.
Yeah, good point. Alex talking about they only start playing on Thanksgiving, and it's too late for some teams by Thanksgiving. So 49ers will lose week 1. We'll get to the Steelers, and they are a good team. I agree, and we'll talk about the 49ers here in just a little bit. Here's Alan's behind us a little bit. Dolphins, Jets, Bills, Patriots. We knew you'd.
I got.
We knew you'd pick the Patriots last.
Alan and I are on the same wavelength on this football thing. Maybe not baseball, but on football we. But I don't know anything about football. So.
We'll talk about the Rangers at 3:00. Alan, pop in if you have the stomach for it. That is AFC South. Jacksonville wins this division last year. I think Jacksonville still is the only good team in this division. I do think one of the surprises will be the Texans, though. I think Texans will finish second, get close to, well, you can't finish 500 anymore. But I think this team will make great strides this year, not just because C.J. Stroud, but I think they've made some significant improvements around that roster as well. And it's going to be interesting to see which one of these rookie quarterbacks is the best. Anyway, Jacksonville first.
Do you think Stroud can make it the whole season?
Well, listen, it's a crapshoot whether any quarterback can make it the whole season these days. But I think he can. Again, if he can't and they have to pull him, hopefully he responds like Kenny Pickett did last year and get out of the lineup, get yourself better, and get back in. If you're talking about injuries, then you can't predict those.
Yeah, I was watching some tape on last season and then also like some of the preseason stuff. You don't think Mills played good enough to keep that job?
I haven't seen enough preseason work. Did he play well enough last year to keep the job? Yeah, I don't know how well he's played in preseason compared to what C.J. Stroud has done. And I think in today's day, you're going to let your rookie quarterback play. If everything's even, you let him play. Yeah,
that's one reason I can't put the Texans on top because
I don't have them on top. I have them finishing second at not making the playoffs.
But I can't put them on a top on a higher on that tier in their division because I feel like Mills did okay or good as a young quarterback with almost nothing. Compared to now, you're going to throw in a fresh new QB, and still the Texans have maybe improved a little bit more, but they're still not balanced. And so, you're almost going to play the similar season just with a different quarterback. And I don't think, and I'm not taking away from C.J. Stroud's ability. I think he is more athletic than Mills, but you might get, let's say you get him running the ball like, what's his name up in Buffalo, and he gets yards for your team, but it's not going to improve your team in that category, right? So,
I expect the defense to be much better as well, and I think that's what's going to keep the offense from having to be, scoring 25 points a game, and they can sneak some wins out that they shouldn't have won. And I just think this team will. And here, Alan's got the same picks I have. I have the Jaguars, Titans, or Texans, Titans, and Colts. I don't know if I have the Colts 0-17, but there's a chance. There is a chance if Jonathan Taylor's not getting traded, if he doesn't play, and Anthony Richardson is just as bad as I think he'll be in his rookie year, this team could go winless. That's not a crazy hot take there.
So, I have the Titans winning the division.
I'm not shocked there.
Coming second, and I'm not. I think the Titans are a better balanced team right now as far as having a depth than the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are deeper in their first string, but I don't think they go much deeper. So any any injury to a first string player is going to not help their season at all. So I have them coming in second, and then I have the Texans third and the Colts last. The Colts just have a lot of issues with their players as far as getting that spirit of core and getting everybody on the same page. This whole thing with the running back was not necessary, and they gotta fix that. Irsay is hurting himself and his image, and as well as the Colts and the general manager.
By what? Not paying them what, nobody's getting paid if you're a running back, and that's pretty clear. So why should Taylor be different? And I don't know that Irsay is doing anything different. The man has a contract. Honor your contract. Go play. I have to honor a contract if I belong at work, or I'm not getting paid. And I can't just say trade me somewhere.
You wouldn't work more for less money, Keith, whether you contracted or not.
You signed a contract. You shouldn't have signed that contract.
You could always leave your job if you don't feel like you're being treated fairly.
But if I had a contract that kept me there, I could not leave my job.
Not necessarily.
Okay. Shows great loyalty. Sign your name to a piece of paper saying
I'll stay here all the time. People look at there are CEOs of companies that just got hired and already looking and have people looking for another position for them at other companies.
I'll show you
how's it different?
It's hugely different. It's hugely different.
CEOs do it all the time. They do it all the time.
Okay.
If you're going to compare football to another business, it has to be like a high-end business. It can't be a mid-grade business.
Almost every CEO gets out before the posse is about to fire him. He doesn't leave just to
why can't the NFL players do that? Why can't running backs do that?
Contracted not to do it. They can buy their way out. Buy your way out. Put a buyout in your contract so you can get out of it. That's how CEOs get out of it. They don't get out of it for free and just walk away.
That's what they're trying to do. And they're trying also to get rid of this whole thing about the whatchamacallit, when they sign those when they put them on those contracts that I can't remember the name of the contract now, but when they get them signed for that smaller contract for that 1 year, whatever.
I know what you're talking about. To make good contracts or whatever.
Yeah.
Regard. I mean, listen, I will give you this as far as the Colts and Irsay goes. They want it both ways, and there you can have it. You don't want to pay these guys what they think they're worth, the running backs in general, Jonathan Taylor specifically. But then when you go to try to trade them, you want the value that you would have gotten from somebody you paid them the money that they want. And you can't have it both ways.
And again, football, like not many sports, so you play for what you get paid for what you did in the past. So Jonathan Taylor's not asking for money that he's not had earned already.
Yeah.
He's not a third running back from Buffalo asking for a first string running back, money. So
I just I think it's going to be, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I will take Jacksonville to repeat. I just think their talent's only going to get better. Trevor Lawrence is going to get better. Entenmann's going to get better.
Oh, yeah. Again, I agree with all that stuff. Kirk and all them. I just don't think that, I think that one bad injury on that starting wide receiver core or even the running back, then the balance is off on that team. So they have no depth. So
I did miss Allen's picks for the North, which we'll go back to here real quick. He's got the Browns, Bengals.
Oh man, what a
Browns, man. What are you seeing the Browns? I mean, listen,
I don't know.
I must be missing something here. Talk about coaches going to lose their job.
I think it's CJ. They think it's your boy Watson saying that he's going to have a better year this year.
Yeah, something we're not going to talk about much here, but Allen reports, and I just did do a quick search. It looks like Stanford and SMU will be joining the ACC as the presidents voted to bring them in. We'll talk about more about that on Sunday. Thanks for that news, Alan.
Franchise. This was the franchise
deal with franchise. Well, there's a good point. When you talk about contracts, part of the collective bargaining agreement is the whole franchise tag deal. You signed off on it, players, or your people did, and you got to deal with the consequences. And maybe that goes away.
Right, and the problem with that, the franchise tag, is that you get the allotted amount that for each position.
One player.
It's not so it came to bite them in the butt. If you're not a quarterback, If you get franchised and you're not a quarterback, you're not getting the best deal out there. And you got to play, right?
Well,
and you can't, so
again, be careful what you wish for,
that's one of those things you can't have both ways either. It's like,
right.
I'm not saying that, but the franchise tag should not, it should be reevaluated and redone. So
let's move to the West. Still a good division. Not as good as we thought last year. And I said early in the season, I thought the division was a bit overrated because I didn't think the Broncos would be as good as they were predicted to be. And I didn't think the Raiders would be. This year, I like the Chiefs to repeat in this division. I don't see any way they cannot. The Chargers, I would say, would be the team that could dethrone them. Coaching is a problem there, but they've got talent all over both sides of the football. So I like the Chargers actually to make a wild card run here to be the third wild card, and then the Raiders would finish. I got the Chargers second, the Broncos third, and the Raiders fourth. And a surprise here, and we'll talk about these as we go along. But one team to watch out for, maybe making a big rebound this year, might be the Denver Broncos. They're good. They're a team to keep an eye on with a new culture with Sean Payton there. If he can get Russell Wilson back to anything close to what Russell Wilson's been in the past, this team bears watching.
Yeah, so this is a tough division because you're hoping that two out of the four teams become ultra competitive. The Raiders with second year with their coach, and then the Denver Broncos with their coach first year, Sean Payton. All four teams have great quarterbacks, right? Well, if you want to call them great quarterbacks.
If I want to still call Russell Wilson a great quarterback, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is a great quarterback.
All he does is win, Keith. All he does is win.
Did I miss all the Super Bowl trophies he's gotten?
I ain't say win Super Bowls. I said win games.
You know what? You won games because they've been able to disguise his weaknesses in an offense you think is terrible. That's why he's won games.
Which is why I think Daniel Jones is a terrible quarterback. Blah. Okay, anyways. Daniel Jones. All right, listen. So I have Kansas City coming.
Wait a minute. How does Daniel Jones and the 49er offense got anything to do with what we just talked about?
Because they built a facade around it for him to look
okay. Very similar. So Jimmy G is a great quarterback, but Daniel Jones stinks.
Right, because Jimmy G does have Super Bowl wins as a backup.
He has. Oh, so what? He didn't contribute at all to those Super Bowl wins. We stop. I mean, yes, nobody's ever carried a clipboard in the Super Bowl as well as Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll give him that.
You got to start somewhere, man. You got to start somewhere.
Give me your picks here.
You got the Chiefs. I have the get this now. I'll take the Broncos over the Chargers and Raiders last.
Raiders, I got that. I think that McDaniel will get fired after this year.
Yeah, I think the Chargers did well with some of the drafting that they did, but I don't think they're going to be balanced well off. You see the defense fall off if you have one or two injuries, and it doesn't have depth, and they got way too many wide receivers that are long in the tooth for Herbert to go crazy with. They're very inconsistent in staying on the field at the wide receiver end. The one thing they do have is a running back. Kudos for the Chargers keeping that guy on the roster. But other than that, like the coach sometimes makes terrible calls the
Chargers' biggest problem is their coach. Staley is like I don't know what happens to him. He has brain cramps at the worst points of games.
I mean, I've seen two games that didn't matter in the fourth quarter where they could have just ran the ball and they'd go for like a pass, and one game the ball got intercepted, and in the next game they didn't make the first down where they were like fourth and a couple inches. So it's like
a 27-point lead in a playoff game. I'm blaming a coach.
Those little
every
things.
Time. And the year before, don't forget, they didn't make the playoffs because of some bonehead play call he made. All he needed was a tie to go to the playoffs, and he plays to win the game, ends up losing, and they don't.
Is that when they went for two?
I can't remember what the exact
They went for
circumstances
2 and
were,
missed the conversion.
Again, that's not good game management. That's not knowing what your team needs to do.
And then here's the thing, Keith, and coaches can make bad calls if they have the team that has the talent and endurance to overcome the situation on the field, right? Like we were talking about earlier, having a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, like he can tell the wide receivers, listen, we're gonna run the same play, but I need you to, make sure that you're at this position. And like he's coaching on the field and he's making the coach look better. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can overcome bad calls, but you can't just be making bad calls consistently.
So in the AFC overall, I've got the Jets, the Steelers, the Jags, and the Chiefs winning the divisions. I've got the Pats, Bengals, and Chargers in the wild cards. I have the conference champion, the New York Jets. So I do have one color of green here for you, CA. Alan, you can see Alan's picks here. Browns, I can't figure that pick out, but we'll see. Alan's bold prediction, by the way, before I get to yours, the Chiefs will not make the playoffs. That's a very bold prediction. We keep trying to bury the Chiefs. All they do is keep making.
They're so people just focus on the offense because of Mahomes and how they can score fast. That defense is young, fast, and hungry, man. And even with them missing Jones and they haven't signed him yet.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to miss a beat because they have depth. In the last 2 seasons, they drafted very well for almost all their positions to have depth on the defense. And they picked up players.
Alex says the only person missing Jimmy G in San Francisco is your wife. And that's teeing me up for too many comments here that I won't make, Alex. So I'll leave that alone. AFC winners, Dolphins. Listen, I predict, Alan, one of my big disappointments in the AFC, I'm going to let Carlos go with his stuff. My biggest disappointments in the AFC is going to be, number one is Miami. And number two, if you can call them a disappointment, will be the Colts because they're not going to do anything. All right. Give me your recap your division winners for me.
Division winners, I have Kansas City. I have the Ravens. I have the Dolphins. And who am I missing?
You're missing the South.
And the Titans.
And the Titans, right. Wild cards?
Jags, Jets, and who did I say on the Kansas City side was the Raiders.
Okay. Big surprise for me could be the Broncos too. Who's your biggest potential surprise? They didn't make the playoffs, but they could surprise and sneak in there.
I'm going to say the Steelers.
Okay. Biggest disappointment.
I'm going to say the Bills.
Okay. Good call. Since you don't have them in the playoffs, that's a good call. Good job. All right, let's move on. NFC. What do we got? One more comment here from Anthony. Good morning. People are high on the Ravens. Don't get your hopes up. I don't even have making the playoffs. I've got, as we talked about earlier, I got the Steelers finishing first, the Bengals second, and both in the playoffs.
Yeah, I just see that they have been trying. They have a coach on the precipice of trying to get back into a Super Bowl and somebody who knows how to coach. And they have depth on both ends on the field this time, not just defense. And that's a scary thing. When you have depth on both and you have a balance. The only problem is, can they move forward and on with with what they have, right? So
that's a good pick for Allen too. At his surprises, sometimes a leader must sacrifice for the team. Remember what Paul Crew had to do for his fellows. Anytime we can get a longest yard reference in, I think it's good. So let's move on to the NFC because we're getting we went way long there. The NFC East. I think the Eagles are just as good as they've been. I think they'll win this division easily. I will say the second place team, which you'll probably disagree with, will be the New York Giants. Both will make the playoffs, and the only teams that make the playoffs in this division will be those teams. Cowboys finish out in third place, and the Commanders until they have a quarterback. And this is probably Ron Rivera's swan song. As much as I like him, I don't think he's going to survive this season. Your thoughts?
I see the Eagles repeating the division. I actually see Ron Rivera getting his defense on a roll here, but I'm gonna go Giants, Dallas, Commanders. I'm sorry. Wait, Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be between the Commanders and the Cowboys for that second spot. To be honest with you.
Really? Okay, good. And Alan, no surprise, picks Cowboys to win the division, and the Giants last. Interestingly enough, let's move on to the North. I think this division is up for grabs. It's not a great division, and like we talk about some other stacked divisions, I just think all these teams could win or lose the division as well. I expect the Bears to be much, much better, and I picked. This is my hot take. Bears win this division.
Ooh, I don't think that's a hot take. Maybe
it's not, but I've got them winning 10 games and winning the division. Just a small step forward by Justin Fields. They got better talent around them, a good defense. I like the Vikings to take a step back.
Keith, again, this is the Justin Fields last year for you was like a thorn in your behind.
No, I don't.
Now you giving this. Now you put him on.
I don't think I ever said anything negative about Justin Fields, other than he needed to get more accurate throwing the football, which I think he will do this year. I think he's making a natural progression. When did I rip Justin Fields?
You ripped him a few times last season.
I don't know. The only time I might have ripped him is when they beat the Patriots and he killed them on a Monday night, and they said you can't get beat by Justin Fields and the Bears. I might have said that.
All right.
Started.
That's the second quarterback right there who you ripped, and you're going to.
I have never ripped Justin Fields.
Okay. All right.
In individual situations, I have. As far as his potential, I've never ripped. He's got great potential. I've watched this kid since he was in high school, watching him on QB1 and Ohio State. This kid's always had it. I think the Vikings take a big step back, do not make the playoffs. I take that back. I do have making a wild card. Second in division, it's the Lions. I have taken a big step back. Certainly don't make the playoffs again. And the Packers finishing last with Jordan Love.
Yeah, so aside from Goff having a stellar year last year, if we compare him to other quarterbacks, there's just a lot of injuries on that team that they came back. It wasn't enough for the Detroit Lions. I don't think there's enough, and that goes to prove that there's not enough balance on that team. I don't think they've improved the balance on that team as far as depth. So I have Chicago. I have Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit and Green Bay. I have Chicago first too. And I think for me, the depth that Chicago has built on defense with the young defense that they have a defensive coach, and Justin Fields, like you said, just only progress. I think they did a good job of putting, I wouldn't say great job, but a good job of putting some good youth around him to just, they can all progress together, and they're fast. That's going to help them in that division because it's a wide open field. So that's why I picked Chicago to go. So I think Chicago, Minnesota, and then Detroit.
Yeah, I'm in the same place there. So Anthony, listen, by the way, I don't think he only picked the Cowboys because nobody's won back-to-back in a while. I think he would have picked the Cowboys. If Craig Morton came back and played quarterback, he'd be picking the Cowboys too. Do you think the Lions can sweep that division? I do not. I think the Lions will finish third and out of the division. Jared Goff is just not a good NFL quarterback. They made him look good, I think, with the way they ran it. I think with Williams out for, almost a third of the season or more than a third of the season, I think that's going to hurt them. And I think this team is right to take a step back. You see this all the time. Teams take a step forward and then take a step back. And the Lions look like the classic example of that to me.
Yeah, I feel like the Chargers are doing it on the opposite coast.
CA says, great season for the Bears, would be reaching 9 wins. Shocking if it'd be more. Look at it. May not take more than 9 wins to win this division anyway.
Well, I was going to say 9 or 10 is going to get you in. So
right. And I think it'll be more because I think the Vikings will sneak in a wild card. So I think
I feel like that Chicago is going to win both Green Bay games. And then they'll probably steal one from the Vikings. So that's gonna, their own division games is gonna help them sneak into the top.
And that might be all the difference for sure.
Yeah.
Let's just see. We'll make an MVP prediction before we get done here. NFC South. It's just ugly, man. This
division is open.
It is wide open, and I took the Bucks for no reason other than I think Baker Mayfield will have a little bit of a resurgence.
Whoa!
I think he'll have a little bit of a resurgence. He is a guy that I'm not a big fan of. We know that.
Did I just hear you say the Bucks?
But I don't like any of the other quarterbacks in this division either. I don't think Desmond Ridder, who the Falcons are a cheeky pick. I don't think the Falcons have enough around. Although Bijan Robinson has looked great in preseason. Whether that carries over to the regular season, we'll see.
Are you serious, Keith? Are you picking the Bucks? Are you going with my pick?
I am picking the Bucks to win this division. Yes.
Didn't a few weeks ago you call me crazy for calling them a black horse, a white horse, or whatever?
Well, no, I don't. Well, dark horse.
And then dark horse, yeah. And then you said
I actually do some research after that. I can switch.
And then you told me that Baker Mayfield had no chance of coming back and being a better quarterback.
I did not say that. I said he played better last year. I said he needs to be better if this team's going to win. If Baker Mayfield's Baker Mayfield, this team won't win. They still got a little talent around the wide receiver position with Chris Goodwin and some others. So if Baker Mayfield plays like he played with the Rams last year when he got to the Rams, this team can win this division. And listen, this isn't any great ringing endorsement of the Bucks or
no.
Mayfield, by the way.
Don't get me
Somebody's got to win.
Don't get me wrong, because people were ridiculing me about picking the Bucks, and I was just saying they're a dark horse. They're not my pick, but I feel like that team has the most depth in as far as consistency, as far as on a roster. The biggest question is, can Baker Mayfield be a good enough quarterback to carry the team? And now he's a little bit older. He's trying to take care of his body more, which is what you got to do anyways. And the division he's in, he can take over, right? Like he doesn't have to look behind his shoulder like Bryce Young, maybe. Carr's proven hasn't proven anything except for the fact that he can just win games and not get to a playoff. Right.
Anthony talked about this being Mike Evans last year. I think it may be his last year in Tampa. I don't think Mike Evans is retiring. He's still got too much money on the table, I think.
I think he got 2 or 3 seasons anyway. So
he's still a first tier wide receiver in my mind. If he's got a quarterback to throw in the football,
that's the thing. And he's not going to be a slot. He's just going to be the outside.
So I've got the Bucks. I will take the Falcons second. No wild card. Saints and the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to be horrible, but that could be just me. I see some teams. I see some guys predicting them 8 and 9. I'm not sure that they can win 8 games. I'm not sure they can win 4 games.
Yeah. So I have the Bucks, the Falcons, the Saints, and then the Panthers.
So we are, I think, in the same situation there. Alan picks the Saints to win it all.
Yeah,
now they do have a quarterback that I have ripped consistently, and I will not jump on his bandwagon. And Derek Carr, believe me. So if you make the playoffs, Anthony, you can expect Derek Carr to remember who he is about the fourth quarter of their playoff game. So.
I'm glad he's in with one of his older offensive coordinators. Right, he has continuity there. He has somebody that can support him. The one thing is the running backs situation over there, and then the wide receivers. You got guys coming back from injury. You got Olave is going to be the guy carrying the team with So
you talk about young wide receivers under the radar. Olave is really good.
Oh, he ain't under the radar.
He'll have a. Well, you don't hear him mentioned with the top wide receivers all the time with Garrett Wilson.
He
is.
Let me say something. If he wasn't injured those last two games where he got the injury in that game and then he missed the second game, I think he would have beat out Wilson for Rookie of the Year.
You're entirely possible.
Yeah,
that's entirely possible. And again, to Alex's point here, you can see the Falcons winning. I could see the Falcons winning the division. I can see any of these teams except maybe the Panthers winning the division. But I got to pick a winner, and I'm not going to pick. Falcons are kind of a trendy pick, and I don't want to go with the trend.
And here's the thing about the Falcons. Alex. They will, and for the last 3 to 4 seasons, they will mess up another team's chance of being in the playoffs.
That's entirely possible too. And they don't have a guy, as their quarterback who's going to quit the team when he gets benched.
They're first of all, he not only quit, but he got surgery afterwards too. So, but the Falcons have a lot of young players. They just need the right type of coach, and they need a little bit more depth on defense to keep them in games. But man, that's a team that nobody wants to play ever. For the last 3 to 4 seasons, teams have hated to play and they keep the game close. That's the best part about them. And to watch some of these games, if you're a Falcons fan, you got something to hang your hat on because they messed up a lot of playoff dreams for some of these teams. So
let's get out west, and I will start with another team that I did not believe in last year, another quarterback I did not believe in. So I've got a team going here, I guess. Seattle Seahawks win this division. Geno does show last year was not a fluke. It took him 8 years to grow into being a successful.
He came out of college a high-rated pick. He wasn't bad in college.
Second round pick he was, by the way.
Higher than he should have been.
Probably, yes. So, again, it took him time to develop. But I picked them to win. I have who do I have second here? 49ers, obviously, have second. I have the Rams third, and the Cardinals battling the Colts for the worst team in football. By the way,
they should have a trophy for that.
Worst team in football. Yeah.
And then whoever wins that trophy gets to pick first.
Yeah. Well, that's a good. Well, you do get to pick first without the trophy, but
I know that's what I'm saying. But you got to play. If you're gonna try to scheme your way out of and get a good pick, you might as well have to play an extra game, and whoever wins that game should get the pick.
I just think I think it'll be a close battle between the Niners and the Seahawks. I think both will be very, very good. That Seahawks team is loaded, by the way.
That defense is going to be scary.
If the defense is getting better, like they almost to where they were when they were winning Super Bowls, and that offense is really good. If Geno has the same kind of year he had last year, their wideouts they get the best out of wideouts in the league, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and Metcalf can run the ball too if they want.
They can run the football too.
So,
let me get a couple comments in here, and then we'll go on to our conference winners and stuff. Saints, we already did that. I already did that. Or how come I did all these? Surprise! Oh, surprise! Here, so disappointments in the league. I'm going to say the Cowboys are a disappointment.
Oh, I didn't get my pick yet.
Oh, give me my pick. I'm sorry. I thought you gave me your West. Go ahead.
So I have Seattle, I have the Rams, and then I have the 49ers falling out as to third, and then, of course, Arizona.
Okay.
And I have San Francisco falling out because they're right now, they
you just don't like San Francisco.
I do not. I don't like them right now. I don't. I liked them when Singletary was there.
Potential surprise based on my picks. The Falcons could surprise and be better than I think, and the Cowboys will be the big disappointment. Not make the playoffs, maybe go 8-9. And Mike McCarthy. And we look for a new quarterback, maybe a new quarterback and a new coach in Dallas.
So my surprise is that
I don't think you can call Dallas a surprise. By the way, you picked them to win in division. That can't be a surprise. Well, I guess.
Yeah, but I feel like the Bears will get at least to the first round. At least that's my surprise, and then my disappointment is the Lions.
That's a good one too. I could have slid that one in there as well, but with Dallas not making the playoffs, I felt it was a bigger. And I think Allen's potential disappointment is good too.
And it could be. Some people might call 49ers a disappointment. I don't know.
If
they go the route I do. So.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I'm not getting on the trendy pick of the Falcons, Anthony, is because right now I don't believe in Desmond Ridder. So
that's your quarterback. You was believing with him in Cincinnati.
As a college quarterback, yeah, he's a great quarterback. But difference between college and the pros. I talk about this all the time.
Yeah, you do. I'll give you that. But you were high on Ridder. You was like, Ridder's going to take these guys to the championship.
He was one of the best college quarterbacks in football when he was there. Yeah.
No, I know.
That doesn't translate to the next level. We know that. Look at Ohio State quarterbacks. Alec agrees. Can see the Seahawks winning over the 49ers, and we have depth and no all line. I'm not even done with the Seahawks yet, by the way. Got a couple more picks here from Alan. This is his since we'll leave this up. So again, recapping my picks in the NFC, I've got the Eagles winning the East, the Bears, the Bucks, the Seahawks. My wild card teams are the Giants, the 49ers, and the Vikings. Your conference champion. And I guarantee you the two shades of green that CA mentioned were probably not the ones I'm going to say. I see the Seahawks and the Jets in the Super Bowl.
Woo! Gino Gino playing his old team.
Gino playing his old team. Pete Carroll maybe his last hurrah. Who knows?
He's playing his old team as well.
Not a young guy and playing his old team. Good point. Good playing his old team.
Nice.
Aaron Rodgers back on the big stage. I think it just makes perfect sense. And so they'll both probably implode and play horribly. So give me your picks. Let's recap your picks.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have
I might want to change my pick. He's got the Seahawks winning it. I'm going to pick the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl too, by the way. Jets lose the Super Bowl to the Seahawks. Go ahead.
So I have the Bucks in the South, the Eagles in the NFC East. I have the Bears in the North, and I have the Seahawks in the West.
We have all the same division winners. I'm scared to death right now.
All right, so I have
wild cards.
For the conference championship, AFC West or AFC. I have the Chiefs playing the Titans. I can't decide who I want in the Super Bowl yet. And then
I told you no hedging today.
Now, you know what? I'm gonna give this to the Titans if considering the Chiefs injury prone situations. I'll give the Titans and I have
Titans in the Super Bowl. That's a hot take right there.
I would like to see the Eagles play the Titans.
All right, well, that'll be a good game up till about the second quarter. By the way, Alan is high in the Cowboys because he's not an undercover Cowboys fan. He's an overcover Cowboys fan. I'm done with this show. All these Seahawks love.
No, you got look.
I just gotta be honest. Listen, unlike the Mad New Yorker, I love Kyle Shanahan, and I think he's done great things. I just think the Seahawks are a better team.
Yeah, like Alec, you have to understand. This is probably like one of the only shows by East Coast prognosticators that are giving West Coast any kind of acknowledgement. So enjoy the show for what it is. At least we're being open minded.
Oh, he's just kidding us around. He's not hating us anymore. So do we have time for again? I wanted to do that's our pick. So hold us to them. I've got them kind of jotted down, and Carlos will forget his picks pretty quick.
No, the Titans and the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Once they start going down,
You told me not to be, like.
I did tell you no hedging, and you did a very good job there. Real quick, because we're running out of time. Today we finally we started last night. Great game not a great game. It was a great game if you have Utah -4.5. Utah dismantles Florida last night to turn the favor and maybe get off the snide of starting seasons badly. I'm going to give you a couple of picks, and when you give me your best bet, don't give me Georgia over Little Sisters of the Poor. My best bet this weekend: TCU stomps Dion in their debut. Don't put it past Sonny Dykes if he gets a chance to put the foot on the gas and run the score up here.
Yeah, I was going to go with that team, with those teams in that game, because Dion's first game in Colorado.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be 27-21, and I think Dion will get his first win. And I think TCU, this is the beginning of the end for them as far as being a top-rated team.
Underrated team, TCU.
No.
Guys.
No, they're fast. Remember I told you last year when I was watching these games, they're fast, they're strong. It's just that depth. And now they're missing their QB, who is their heart and soul. They have to replace him and Duggar. But, I mean, that's not a bad team. They need a couple more players. I think they're like maybe 6 players short of being a great team. So that'd be 3 on both sides.
They'll be better than we think they'll be because remember, Chad Morris was a starting quarterback last year. He got hurt. That's why Max Duggan played. So he may be better. Who knows?
But is he? The thing about Duggan is that he had the same kind of persona and character that's Stetson Bennett had, right? So where he was a no quit, very just give it his all, and that permutated to all his offense and defense. So I don't know if Morrison is that type of guy, right?
Let's get to because we're out of time here. Let's get to our don't be surprised if. I'm going to tell you, don't be surprised. Texas Tech is a trendy pick this year for having a potential to make a TCU type run. They're a really good team. McGuire's a really good coach. I think they stumble, and don't be surprised if Wyoming has the ball with a chance to win this game and maybe even wins it in the fourth quarter on prime time, CBS Sunday night, Wyoming and Texas Tech. I think Wyoming will have a chance here to win.
Nice.
So give me a sleeper. Give me an underdog.
Penn State dismantles West Virginia by 30.
That's a good one.
By 30. I think Penn State will win West Virginia, and I think it's going to be a close game, 17-14.
They're a 3 touchdown favorite. I can tell you that.
Franklin teams always come out first in the first two games, playing a little more rigid than they should.
Okay. They always play rigid. They'll beat West Virginia. They can't beat Ohio State and Michigan. That's their problem.
Woo.
We'll talk more about this on Sunday as well, CA, because I got some thoughts on Nebraska. Matt Rule, same thing. Scott Frost, they play well, can't win games. They can't finish games out.
Yeah.
So let's hope this isn't the.
I have big hopes for Matt Rule in Nebraska. So let's see if you can get him back to the pride.
I think Allen's been all over this East Carolina pick. Listen, Michigan will pounce on this team. Jim Harbaugh or no Jim Harbaugh, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, East Carolina's they'll make it competitive for the first half, but after
that, they'll pull away late in the game here. So anyway, great job, great show. We're going to hold ourselves to these picks, and we'll probably
MVP next time. We'll stay to MVP.
Yes, we will. We didn't, Anthony. Let's think on that. Well, maybe next week we'll pick an MVP.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, Anthony. Have a great everybody. Anthony, CA, Alan, Kenny, whoever else was with us, and thank you, Carlos. Have a great weekend.